Hey, welcome to Optimize Your Body with Martin Silva, where we talk raw, uncut facts to truly help you optimize your body.
At Mr. Bond Fitness. How you doing out there in New York, mate? It's great to have you back on, man. It's hard to get hold of you nowadays, mate, with this time difference.
It is, mate. It's a busy time of year for me as well. I've been picking up clients left, right, and centre, so it's been a bit crazy. And I'm happy that you've actually got me on at a decent time, not like 4:35 in the morning.
Yeah,
so I should be sharp. Let's let the viewers know I should be sharp this evening. Hopefully,
you should be sharp.
There's no excuses now, right?
No pressure, mate. Now you just put yourself under the cosh now, mate. You better deliver today. I'm going to leave all of the most important points to you now, then, mate. Right? I want you just to like crack on, okay? So over to you, mate. Let's go. Right. I'm going to go and have a nap for 20 minutes. Right? Go on, then, mate. Let's go.
Why not? I get a more intelligent conversation with myself anyway. So.
Are you still on the coffee?
And no, man, I had actually had one today for the first time in a long time, and I was buzzing for around 5 or 6 hours, just like I couldn't stop talking, man. I was so sensitive to it at the moment that it hit me pretty hard. But I've definitely found that staying off it has made my life a lot better in terms of like energy, sustainability. Workouts are better. You know, I'm not relying on caffeine to get my through my workouts, or maybe I would have the odd pre-workout here and there. My sleep's better. Just everything has changed dramatically. So I'm not saying knocking on coffee. Obviously, it has its benefits with nutrients, etc. But for me, as an individual, it's not the best thing. So I'm staying off it for as often as I can. And I'll just have it maybe once a week because I enjoy it. I've switched up to tea. The odd time I have a decaf just for the taste. But honestly, it's changed my life, man. I said this before, and I've gone back to it. I got sucked back in. Started having 2 or 3 cups again per day, but I think this time I'm off it for good. So
good man. Yeah, no, there's some crazy studies actually. I heard Ben Greenfield saying yesterday, and just for the listeners, folks, amazing podcast. Ben Greenfield's. He's like the master of everything health and fitness, right? And he was saying like something. I don't know how they do these studies, by the way, though, mate. But people who drink coffee, a minimum of like 1 to 2 cups a day, actually got like a 6. They live 6% chance less of dying at a younger age or something like that. And there was another one as well where even excessive coffee drinking is a massive, I say excessive, but anything up to like 4 or 5 cups, they were saying, a massive link to depression as well. So obviously,
I can see that.
Yeah, because like obviously you get
afterwards, right?
Definitely, mate. Yeah, you get that surge of dopamine, but it's like I've said before, it's got to be like one of the best drugs. It's got to be, for me, it's the best drug on the planet. But at the same time, mate, it is a full-blown drug, yeah. Because much like yourself, mate, you're a better man than me because I'm trying to wean myself off coffee. So I tried going cold turkey, huge error. Try going cold turkey twice. I don't know why I've done this to myself twice because it's miserable. But I thought, I'm really disciplined. I'm really hardcore. I'll do it. I'm not disciplined. I'm not hardcore when it comes to coffee. I failed. So basically, I think I went like 2 weeks. I think I had about 2 free coffees in 2 weeks. So this time round now, starting from this week, I've started weaning myself off it. So I've just dropped 1 shot of coffee. Now, the thing is, Andrew, here in Australia, They get you hooked because they put 2 shots in each long black. So in each long black coffee, or should I say black coffee, they put 2 shots in there, which I've only realized a few months ago. So from 4 shots, I'm going down to like 3. So I'm still having my 2 coffees, but I'm having 2 shots in one and 1 shot in the other. And next week I'm going to be taking another shot down. And the plan is then in the new year just to wean myself off it, much like yourself, mate. So,
what are the big difficulties you have coming off it then, since you have to do it that way?
Oh, for me, mate, it's more a case of most of it, I think, is placebo anyway. I think it's just like, and training. Okay, that's one of the main ones, mate. When I train, I do notice a massive difference in my performance physically. I don't feel quite as sharp. That was just for a few days, though. I just didn't feel quite as on the ball, if you like. Not as much clarity mentally. But all in all, I think it was just the first few days, Drew. I think it was just the first 5 days were so miserable. And then what happened was, and like just yourself today, you've had 1 coffee, you get sucked back in. So I had a really bad sleep one night, and then I had a podcast the next day. I was interviewing someone, so I thought, I'll just have 1 coffee, and then I got sucked back in. So that was my issue.
You might see though the biggest change I've seen with myself is like you're obviously saying you're not sharp when you don't have your coffee. Like I feel that fogginess and will disappear when you do stop taking it. and you'll have more mental clarity. I promise you. You just got to give it time. It's that first week it can be a very depressive week if you're coming off it and you're weaning yourself off it. After that, then things start to change. Given time, I've done it probably for about a month now, so definitely, man, I'm into that zone now. And like I said, I've been sucked back in before. But this time it's a game changer for me. So,
mate, I totally agree with that though, because I did notice after about 3-4 days, I had more energy, more sustained energy, and I just felt better. But then I got sucked back in. But yeah, mate. So you typed up a great blog lately, and just for the listeners, today's podcast is going to be on kind of how to attack the new year. But when we say attack, we mean attack but sustain, right? Because I think
everyone attacks it.
Exactly, everyone attacks. That's not an issue. But yeah, I think like 73. Sorry, bro. I think about 73%. I think that the stats say about 73% of new gym goers fall off after the first month. Within 1 month, that is. So yeah, mates, hit me.
So it's a good time for us.
You've had a coffee today, so hit me.
I have. It's a good time for personal trainers though in January. But again, as a good personal trainer, you will sustain those clients for the long term, right? So if you can pick up a few more clients, extra clients, and you can change them and switch their mindset during that time, you know, to win. A lot of people will leave after a month or two. And you always see these memes saying, beware, the new gym goers are coming, you know, because obviously the current gym goers get a little scared when there's a march on the gym in January and there's thousands of feet coming through the door. But this is a time of year really when I'm kind of like a mind reader, because I know what people are going to start implementing. Like they'll start, you know, they're going to attack Christmas pretty hard, right? They're going to start eating all those calories in Christmas, party more, going to go out more, drink more, eat more. Then come that 29th, 30th of January, and then the panic sets in. And then they're going to start that diet, right? They're going to restrict everything from their diet. They're going to train too often. They're probably going to overapply intensity as well. And the worst thing they do as well at Christmas time is probably eat everything in the cupboards before they start their diet on Monday, man. That's
absolutely. It's always the extremes, isn't it, Drew? It's always from one extreme to another. But yeah, your first. I'm just going to run through your points, man. Because it was really because I'm being a pain in the ass and I'm making Andrew reduce. Well, both of us are just reducing the amount of words we use, letters, if you like, in each blog. So, like I said, right. 200 to 250 characters. So it's tough, but man, you put it together really well. So your first one I liked. It was be realistic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So do you wanna elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, just don't like every time when it comes to goal setting, like people make unrealistic goals, right? For example, like weight loss is probably more successful with shorter goals. Everyone has that end goal where I'm going to lose 30 pounds, but like I would just aim for smaller wins throughout the week. So if a win for me might be, okay, that it doesn't necessarily have to be linked to the scales that you see. A win may be that you've made a small incremental change. So you've actually ticked off going to the gym twice a week. That's one win. That's a small goal, right? You started drinking more water. That's another small goal. You give yourself a pat on the back. You started eating vegetables every meal. That's another goal that you can tick off. If you only focus on that scale and you only focus on maybe losing 30 to 40 pounds, then there's going to be times where your weight doesn't move on the scale. So you're going to be very upset with yourself. It's going to be damaging psychologically for you. So just having those little wins throughout the week is going to give you that extra energy and extra boost to go on to the next week and sustain that and move on and be more consistent, I guess. So
great. And I just want to interject a little bit there. And the thing is, as well, I think people need to focus on. Actually, this is. I just remember this is from a new book I'm reading, which I want to promote to the listeners because I think this is perfect for people for the new year and just for habits you can apply for the rest of your life. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I got that one from our boy Jamie Alderton, Drew. Nice. Because he had him on his podcast, and it's for example on the front cover, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. And what he says in there is just what Andrew talked about then: goals. The problem is we set goals and we have focused on that goal so much. And Andrew and I have mentioned this before. We kind of lose touch a little bit with the process, and we don't put the systems in place to actually achieve those goals and sustain them for a lifetime. Now, I'm making this sound quite complicated, but essentially what I mean is you have to, in a sense, he says in the book, to change your identity. So I completely resonate with me because, for example, something that Andrew and I, our strength is obviously health and looking after our bodies. Okay, that's our main strength, right? So, in order to create to create a body which is healthy and achieve your goals in terms of your physique, so you want to get an aesthetically pleasing physique, and you want to be healthy with it, then you have to do the things that a healthy person would do. So, in a sense, you have to literally make that part of your identity. You have to be doing, for example, what kind of traits would you need to be like a healthy or fit person, right? You would need to generally walk more, okay? So instead of, say, taking the lift, this is just an easy example, taking the lift in work if you live in a high-story building, this is just a random example, you take the stairs. Instead of driving round the corner, you walk. That's what a fit, healthy person would do, and they make that part of their lifestyle. And that's an example of a good habit, you know? So it's actually doing it. Think to yourself, right, what do I need to become to actually achieve those goals? So just going a bit deeper on that, Drew. But
that's fine, mate. And that's linked to... Go on, sorry.
No, go on, mate. That was it. I was just going to ask.
Yeah, that's kind of linked to the second point that I make on my my blog about starting slowly as well. Like I've mentioned that, especially after you've been sedentary for a long time. And as Martin just mentioned there, that start by taking small steps, right, or going for a walk. I feel that, like, in the new year, the biggest criticism I have of people during the new year is that they try and do something. Maybe their friend is doing like a boot camp class, for example, right? And they go from being very sedentary throughout the Christmas period, where they've been doing less and eating more, laying on the couch a lot, and they go into a boot camp class, which is probably one of the highest forms of intensity you can do, next to CrossFit and similar things like that. And they start going in balls to the wall, hell for leather, right? And they start as hard as they possibly can, and then they end up aching like hell after the class for about a week, and then they're like, well, bugger this, I'm not exercising ever again, it's made me feel terrible.
That's exactly it. And that happens all the time, man. Like, it's so, like I said, the odds are stacked against you, right? If you're, I don't mean to sound grim about this, but if you're thinking of just, right, I'm going to go all balls to wall, and I'm just going to smash it. And like Drew said earlier, I'm going to finish off everything in the fridge. I'm going to just, like, really let my hair down, and then that's it. I'm on it. Right, that is one way of doing it, and that's the way most people are going to approach it. But that's totally fine to have that mindset. But if you could just take a step back and go, right, am I really going to be able to sustain that kind of pace for the rest of my life? And let me tell you, Andrew and I could tell you, like 99% of the time, that is unlikely, right? So just, as Andrew said, start slowly. Yeah, what was your, did you want to say anything else on that point, mate?
No, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and another good one was be patient, right? That's a really good one, actually, your third point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so...
it's a long-term thing. Like, I think we keep reiterating this fact as we talk on every podcast episode. Like, it's, like Martin said earlier, you can't sustain that type of intensity for long term. If you feel that there's a diet that you're following that you're restricting and you're dropping out certain food groups and you're struggling to get through it, and you can't do it for the next 10, 20 years of your life, and that's not the correct diet for you. You need to create the plan and make it sustainable for the rest of your life. And we'll keep reiterating this fact. But when you do that and you start creating these healthy habits and bringing them into your routine, things will get easier and your body will change. But again, it takes time.
Absolutely. And you mentioned... Yeah, go on.
We have plenty of time as well. It's useless going up and down with yo-yo dieting, losing weight, putting back on double weight, losing weight. You have time to do that, so why not have time to make sustainable life goals,
Exactly. Making time, isn't it? That's what it's about. It's about making time. You can make excuses or you can execute. As cheesy as that sounds, right? You're not going to execute everything. Definitely not, 100%. And that's another thing you need to bear in mind, folks. Nothing's perfect. You're not going to be perfect with things. It's just a case of creating small wins and really focusing on the things which should be a priority, like getting enough sleep and the things we've talked about all year on the podcast, essentially. Like, in a way, Andrew said this off air before we started, we're kind of summing up everything we've talked about today throughout the year. It's always going to come back round to the same points and focusing on the big rocks. But Andrew mentioned on his blog anyway, on the third point which he just talked about, being patient, instant gratification. So you have to be disciplined in a sense, right? Because certain things you do get immediate pleasure from. For example, let's use food as an example, right? You don't necessarily, for the most part, you don't need whatever you're going to have. So, right, I'm going to have this thing because it's going to make, I'm craving something, for example. I'm craving some type of food, okay? So I'm going to have that food because it's going to make me, it's going to make me feel better. It's a craving. But it's not hunger, right? So that's an example. Do you really need that immediate pleasure right now? Is that gonna actually excel you forward to your goals, or is it going to hold you back? So sometimes it's a case of, again, taking a step back and asking yourself, is this going to help towards what I'm trying to achieve? And don't get me wrong, like I said, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to be enjoying yourself. You're a human, but be patient and just try and think of the long game and stay in the game. And what was your fourth point, And?
Fourth point is going in with a plan, having some sort of direction. I said, this will help keep you disciplined, more productive, and help you stay on track with your health and fitness goals.
Yeah, definitely.
So, go on, sorry, man.
Yeah, I was just going to say then, yeah. So, again, we're kind of reiterating the stuff we've said, but you've got to have a little bit of a game plan. So I think it's good to put some sort of time, maybe some sort of time span on what you're trying to achieve. So, for example, like, let's just be realistic now. In January, right, I'm going to achieve whatever your goals are. We're just using what our strengths are here, health and fitness. You could be listening to this podcast. You could have different goals and different things you want to achieve in the new year. But if you just say to yourself, this is not something that I'm an expert in, and this is something I need to work on myself, is setting time spans. But, for example, for January, set yourself a goal, right? Let's just use health and fitness as an example again. In January, I want to make sure that I eat less processed food. So I want to try and reduce the amount of processed foods I eat. I want to eat more vegetables, and I want to drink more water. Now, these are really basic kind of goals and targets for you to aim for. But, for example, if you could do that, that's actually quite a good example. If in January your goal is to get leaner, lose body fat, look better, which a lot of you listening to this, that is your goal, and get healthy with it, how about you do that? How about you say, right, I'm going to drink, let's just say, 3 liters of water a day. I'm going to make sure I do that every single day. Consistency is a big thing here, folks. It's a massive thing, as you know, with anything in life, but especially when it comes to sustaining good health and a good body. So, yeah, as I was just saying, so drink more water, so 3 liters of water a day, and increase the vegetables. So maybe have 2 servings of vegetables a day. So how about you just have vegetables with 2 of your meals? Boom. You have 3 meals a day. How about you make sure every day for January you have 2 with 2 of those meals you have vegetables, right? Boom. That's that done. And then another goal. I don't know what the other goal was. I'm going to use another one though as an example. Moving more. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I hit 8,000 to 10,000 steps every single day in January. You could use those 3 points as a goal for yourself in January if you haven't got one, and watch what happens to your body and your mind.
Exactly, man. And they are those simple steps and simple wins that we discussed earlier, right? I think people try and overcomplicate things when it comes to the new year, and they're going to follow maybe the latest diet trend. So that might be like, okay, I'm going to try intermittent fasting, or I'm going to try a keto diet, or I'm going to try CrossFit because my friend is doing this. But people who are doing these type of diets usually are unaware of even what like a calorie deficit is to lose weight. They don't even drink enough water, like you reiterated to earlier. They aren't aware of different types of like macronutrients, what a carbohydrate, what a fat, what a protein is, and what fiber is. And then they're jumping from that with so little information, so little experience when it comes to dieting to one of the most restrictive diets in the world. And again, that's setting yourself up for failure. Just learn these small, simple steps first before you start going for those big rocks, because those big rocks are going to lead to lack of success and failure. I promise you.
Yeah.
You mean,
that's it.
In place first. Simple.
Absolutely. I love that, mate. I love that. Oh, mate, that's a really, really good point. Because I know a lot of listeners will relate to that. People are trying to do things that other people are doing, which is work for that particular person, right? So when we say worked, right, let's just use fasting as an example. Big buzzword, very, very, very popular now, and actually, 2019, that is going to explode, right? Like me and Andrew have said on other podcasts, the only reason it hasn't exploded in terms of from a marketing perspective, like supplements, for example, like supplement companies can promote their brand, they can put a pretty label on it, make it look good, bang, people buy it, and they have like some sort of model representing it who looks amazing. When it comes to fasting, how do you market that as well, right? But lots of people now are starting to do this, and I find people like Andrew and I have got to be careful with this as well, because we're big advocates of intermittent fasting. We've molded this into our lifestyle, and it works really well for us. But most people, and again, I'm just using examples here just so I can give you guys more of an insight. Most people are using fasting as a way to get leaner. Terrible idea. Drew, do you reckon that's a bad idea?
Definitely, mate. Yes, it's not a fat loss tool. It's more of a health tool, So when you're doing fasting, you should be prioritizing health with it. And I find like sometimes the wrong people are doing it. There's people who already have hormonal issues who should be eating more regular meals throughout the day, but they're employing intermittent fasting, and that's just heightening the issues they already have.
Definitely. Yeah, what was I going to say then? Yeah, and with the fasting as well, you were just saying about about people not. I'll jump to the next thing I was going to say anyway. My mind's gone there. Like with the calories and stuff and fasting. So people want to jump into fasting, but I was going to say about health. Then that's what I was going to say. Sometimes we say, I've realized that because we've been at this for so long now, our paradigm has completely shifted over the last 3 or 4 years, where we're tuned into how we feel instead of how we look more. Don't get me wrong, folks. Andrew and I love to look great, right? We like to look great, right? I'm not going to say we're not vain, right? Because we are. What I was going to say is what Andrew was saying then. It's like using it as a tool for health, and what we mean by that, because that can mean so many different things. How about if you are going to do fasting, right? If you want to try that, how about you try and think about, how do I feel when, for example, once or twice a week, how about maybe, as an example, you could maybe skip breakfast, not even skip breakfast, maybe have breakfast a bit later in the day. So instead of getting up and eating, maybe stretch that out a little bit and see how you feel within that time span of not eating. Now, initially, for the first, say, day or two, you're probably going to have mixed signals because you're used to eating. Again, coming back to habits, your brain's going to be saying, oh, it's time to eat here. Boom, it's going to release certain hormones, which are going to trigger appetite. But you're not hungry. You're not hungry. Again, you could go weeks without food. After a day or two, you'll probably, for most people, start feeling a bit better, right? If you don't feel as good, though, then how about you go back to maybe have a breakfast? It's quite straightforward. Like Andrew said, most people are under so much stress nowadays that fasting is just an added stress to their life. And these people need to maybe just eat 3 meals a day and focus on eating healthier foods. That would be the first step for them. It's really, really not rocket science, folks. But and I wanted to say something you mentioned then, calorie deficit. Mm-hmm. If you could just simplify what that means to people quickly, because those two words are flying about like hotcakes now, right? So it's like calorie deficit, and people are tuning into it. But like you said, a lot of people don't quite know what that means.
Eating less than you burn, right? So ultimately, people feel that this is the be-all and end-all when it comes to nutrition, that you must be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. I don't quite agree with that, because I've had more experience working with clients. Yep. And certain clients do have other hormonal issues that are preventing them from losing weight. Mm-hmm. Essentially, you need to be aware of what your maintenance calories are. They help you maintain your weight, and from there you can reduce your calories slowly over time, and that should help you then have a reduction in body fat. Now, you mentioned in a recent podcast that you participated in, that how to do this. So basically that involves tracking your food, really. So tracking your food throughout the week, and that should tell you where your maintenance levels are, providing your weight is staying the same throughout that week.
Absolutely.
And from there you can drop your calories, and that essentially should help you get leaner over time. For me, like I said earlier, is it just calories in, calories out? Maybe for some people, but we need to involve different macronutrients in that component as well. But again, as we reiterated earlier, when we're talking about fasting, if you have hormonal issues, then the likelihood of you losing that weight in a calorie deficit is decreased.
Exactly. That's what you. That was great, mate. And I was just going to say, in terms of tools to use, now I'm just going to try and appeal this to the masses. If anyone's listening to this, and your goal is to get leaner in January, I know that's going to hit alarm bells with most people. Most people want to get leaner in January. So let's just say, tools. Fasting is a tool. Okay. If I had to prioritize which tools I was going to use in the position from the standpoint of I want to lose body fat, I am going to use food tracking, as Andrew mentioned, any day. Okay, so how about you build some self-awareness, right? Now that's the key thing here, right? So if you are looking to lose body fat in January, how about now, don't say I'm going to do it tomorrow, how about you download the app, MyFitnessPal, now, and start tracking ASAP, right? You don't necessarily maybe want to track over the Christmas period, actually, so don't do that. Actually, if you're listening to this now, this is going to be a few days. Yeah, okay, so actually, download the app and start tracking your food intake. Boom, that's the first step, okay? Because I love this. I love this, right? I don't know if anyone's... I'm like a bloody nerd here. I don't know if anyone's heard of the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, right? Most people have heard of that. Great book by Mark Manson. And I heard Mark Manson on a podcast, and I thought this was great. He said, self-awareness is like sex. Most people think they're good at it, but in reality, they suck, right? I love that because it's the truth. We all think, oh, I know what I'm doing. I eat healthy. I do this. I do that. And there was a new study that came out recently about people who think they eat healthy, and I couldn't believe it. It was literally something like 98% of them were wrong. I don't know. That's vast. It was more specific than that, but what I'm trying to say is self-awareness. So over something like fasting, right? Building self-awareness about what's going into your body and working out roughly what your maintenance calories are the first step for you when it comes to losing body fat and getting leaner, I would say. Anyway.
No, I agree with that, mate. And it's funny you should say that because you always get that expression from your clients, right? Or people you meet in the gym and they say, oh, I eat really healthy.
Yeah.
But you know what that is. You know, when you delve into their diet, you realize that is pretty awful sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, we're not saying you need to track for the rest of your life because, again, that could lead to an eating disorder. But for me, tracking is more just about awareness. It will give you the awareness of what types of food you eat and the awareness of how much you eat. Because people always misrepresent this and undercalculate or overcalculate the amount of calories they're eating pretty often, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My girlfriend does that a lot, actually. She tracks now, and she over-calculates what she has, like, extreme. And I'm like, nah. As I'm like, Kim, like, yes. I mean, it's all estimated anyway. But without going too much into that, really, it's a great tool. As Andrew said, it's not something anyone wants to be doing for the rest of their life. Like, I'm sure Andrew does this as well. But for myself, I'll track for a few months. And then I'll come away for a few months. But even at the level Andrew and I are at now, you know, we're at a top level without, you know, trying to blow our trumpets. When it comes to knowing what our body needs, calories, nutrients, we know. We could not track forever and still maintain our weight and be healthy with it. But it's a great tool to build self-awareness. Yeah, and I think we really elaborated on point 4 there. That was good. Yeah, point... I think... Go on.
We've overstepped certain simple things as well, like paying attention to stress and sleep. Like we've obviously had podcasts on that before, like, but again, like overdoing intensity in workouts can add stress to the body, intermittent fasting, things like that. Like high stress and little sleep can affect hormones that can lead to overeating and letting your appetite get out of control. So
definitely,
if you're having issues over the festive season with that already, then that's something that you may want to dial in during the new year and maybe focus on the nighttime routine a little more, you know?
100%. That's what I was going to say to people as well. This is coming off one of my other blogs, but without going too much into that, like social media, we've talked about this lots of times in the past. And, you know, I think when it comes to stress and actually achieving your goals and stuff like that, you know, like I said about moving more, if you were to build awareness to how much time you're spending on social media unnecessarily, this is still work in progress for me as well, but for example, when you're sat there flicking through social media, you know, you could be just doing a little 5-10 minute walk or something like that, and being more productive with your time to actually accelerate your goals. Because as I've mentioned before, there's a great app which I've actually stopped using because it's quite painful to realize how much time you spend on social media. There's an app called Moment, and it makes you really aware of how much time you waste on social media, sat down, scrolling with terrible posture, slouched over your phone, when in reality, if you could, let's just say you waste 20 minutes a day on social media, that's being kind, by the way. Most people waste much more time. We're talking hours a day on social media. How about you would just walk for 20 minutes instead? Because the results I've had, like there's one client in particular, I had unbelievable results with her from just getting her to walk 20 minutes a day. Her body fat was dropping rapidly, just from consistently. And the way she'd done this is she would have her lunch. She had an office job, so she was doing like literally 3,000-4,000 steps a day. That's really, really low steps. But I think
the average in America, right?
That's the average in America. The average American doesn't even move. That's 20 minutes of walking a day, folks. It's 20, 30 minutes. It's shocking me. Exactly, but she was doing about that, the average, 4,000 steps. And then she, after eating a lunch, which, by the way, folks, a great thing which I've implemented is just going for a 5 to 15-minute walk after eating. Really, really helps with digestion and energy levels. I've really, really noticed.
I say that as well.
Yeah. I've really noticed. Have you noticed that yourself?
Yeah, man. I try and do it if I'll be obviously eating now, so I'll take the dog out for a little walk for 20 minutes, which would be nice. Just to look at the fact you just said about her moving more, right? That she lost weight. Was that without even changing anything to a diet? Because obviously we were talking about we were talking about a calorie deficit. So essentially you can increase the energy expenditure and the movement, and you don't necessarily have to drop your calories all the time. So that can be like a tool for you just to increase movement, increase the amount of work you do in the gym, and that may even help you get leaner anyway. So
definitely, mate. And actually, this client fell into the 5% of people who does actually eat healthy, right? Which is rare, but she was overeating. So that's another thing, folks. We were saying about calorie deficit. Now, like Andrew and I are not in the camp. We're not in any camp. Like there is that camp where it's all about calories, right? And I'm not going to go into that, but like Andrew and I always say, like if I had to choose what was more important for someone who's looking to create sustainable health, at like someone at not a low level, but not someone at an advanced level, I would say to focus on nutrients first. Focus on like don't yes, it's good to track and it's good to use that as a tool, but really focus on eating healthy foods. I was just going to say about that client, she fell into the small percentage of people who was actually eating healthy but eating way too much. So you can eat healthy foods and still get fat, folks. That is like if you overeat calories, you're going to gain body fat and gain weight, right? So she was, and all she didn't change nothing with the food, walking 20 minutes a day, and then boom, she started losing body fat. And then we started playing around with the calories and stuff. So, like 20 minutes a day after you've eaten as well. She was doing it after her lunch, going outside, fresh air, put a podcast in. That's another thing I wanted to say. Rather than flicking through social media, have your food or whatever. Go for a walk 20 minutes a day, right? Just make the time to do that 20, 30 minutes a day. Whack a podcast in, optimize your body ideally, and you'll be surprised if you add that 20 minutes up, right? Firstly, the amount of calories you're going to burn over the space of a week. Secondly, how many minutes is that? I'm really shit at maths, but that's a couple of hours you've listened to podcasts. Trust me, you've learned a lot of different things within that time as well. So you will grow mentally as well as physically.
And again, it comes back to that point that if you throw everything but the kitchen sink at your New Year's resolution when it comes to fitness and health, you're going to get to the point where you have already lowered your calories too much, you're already training too much, and you're already doing excessive cardio. So where's your next step? You have to lower your calories again. So you're starving yourself. You have to do 1 to 2 hours plus cardio a day. Essentially, you're going to set yourself up for failure. Plus, you're obviously going to mess up with your metabolism.
Exactly.
And you're going to have no time to yourself or to spend with friends and family. So just make those small changes like Martin did with that client. It was a simple change just to get her to move more. She started losing weight. Definitely. And when she hits a plateau again, his next step may be, right, I'm going to take maybe 100 calories away from a weekly total. A daily total. Yep. That's into a small deficit. That may help her drop body fat again.
That would help massively.
I may increase her training intensity, or may increase the amount of time she trains per week. That's my next tool in my box. Definitely. They're all going to help these small changes. And again, that is done over a long period of time.
Definitely. And this is a big battle for us, isn't it, Anne? Because I'm coming back to one of your other points, be patient. Because I know most people listening to this, right, it's great because I do the same thing. I'll listen to certain things and I'll go, oh, I'm going to smash that. And then after a couple of days, I'll go back to my old ways because I haven't created those habits and I haven't changed my, like I said, my fundamental habits. So the results, that's an example of one client. The results you will get, right, from walking 20 minutes a day every day, right, you'll get good results. Even if you don't, like, I'm not going to say you're going to get mind-blowing results because loads of other factors come into this. But if you make, let's just talk about health, right? Moving is very, very important for your health. And I can guarantee you it's probably going to increase your productivity. I get that with clients as well. Clients who move more, and do like an extra bit of walking each day or just focus on their total daily steps and make a point of more activity, they are more productive with their business and whatnot as well. So try not to get sucked back into balls to wall mentality, and because you have to be patient with this. You have to be patient with the results, like, because people a lot of other people listening to this will probably be thinking like, oh, really, 20 minutes a day? I have this battle with people, and it's like, it's the compound effect. Like, it's not going to happen overnight. You've just really, really got to listen to me and Andrew on this.
Well, it's a stress reliever as well, right? So it's not only going to do well for your physical health and your heart health, but also for your mental health. So if you don't want to go for a walk, right, what's an easy win for you when you're doing a session in the gym? You rest in 30 seconds to 90 seconds between sets. You just walk around the gym until you come back to your next set. That's going to get your steps up per day, right? So that's probably going to add another between, I say, 2,000 and 4,000 steps to your daily step count.
Great point.
Super win, man. So you don't necessarily have to go outside. Obviously, if it's wet and raining like it is here now, but at least in the summertime, get yourself out there. You've probably had a busy day of work, stressful things with your family, your kids. So going for that 20-minute walk is going to do you a world of good.
Absolutely. And as Andrew said before, it's training because it's not punishment, folks. Training shouldn't be punishment. And again, I know it's easy for me to say because, once again, it takes time to create those habits of training because you love yourself. As cheesy as that sounds, that needs to be the end outcome one way or another. It needs to change. I know this sounds a bit crazy, but you need to change the underlying reason why you're doing it, and that just takes a bit of switching of the mindset. So, for example, go into the gym for punishment and really go in there because you hate certain parts of your body, right? It's not going to get you anywhere long term. And I'm not saying maybe, I'm saying definitely. You are not going to get to where you need to get long term 99% of the time if you're focusing purely on how you look. And as I said before, Andrew and I, we like to look great, right? We do. We've gone to the extremes with that. We've both competed on stage. I mean, but now we're focused on how we feel and putting health first and actually training because we want to take care of our body. Okay, I'm just going to say that again. Train in the new year because you want to take care of yourself, right? If you can just keep focusing on that, why am I here? Like, it's not punishment. I'm doing it because I want to take care of myself.
Yeah, and we've been like, I think people look at us and they see obviously physiques and the way we look and think we haven't been through anything with our health, like, and we've been through all the insecurities that you have. We've been through all the eating issues. We've been maybe overweight. We've been through binge eating disorders. So like, stop using, like, understand we have been through these things and we want to pass our knowledge on to you and help you. And we know you can get there given time, but like, stop using like guilt as a motivational tool, because like, this is an issue, like Martin said earlier, that has to do with yourself. So it's got to come from within you to change. And like, if you keep punishing yourself and you keep looking at yourself in the mirror and say you hate yourself, then you're going to be more likely to give up. So you need to get that mindset switch and start encouraging yourself and supporting yourself and getting support from others. That's the only way you're going to do it, folks. If you keep using that guilt as a motivator, then you're going to give up sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to say, that was a really, really good point, mate. And I wanted to say about motivation as well. I'm just going to say this, folks, as well. Motivation ain't shit long term. Motivation comes and goes. Okay?
Yeah.
So, yes, it's great if you feel motivated and you're ready to smash the gym. Awesome. Make the most of it. But just remember, motivation ain't going to get you anywhere long term because it's a temporary state. Okay? So, unless you focus on, like we've said, the big rocks and focusing on, why do I want to do it? it is tough to get to this point, but we have got to that level now where just try and take care of yourself for the most part, right? And right, Drew, we've got 5 minutes left. I want to try and wrap this up in about 45 minutes if we can. Yeah. So
we planned to do it in 20 minutes, right? We've always hit the mark again, so we've been chatting too much.
It's all good. Hopefully, half the listeners haven't tuned out.
And like we're really passionate about what we do. Like this is our, this is our forte, and we are making careers of it. So we want to help you out as much as we can. And even if you respond to us on like social media, if there's any questions you have, like please throw them at us, and we will help you as much as we can. We're there 24/7 every day. But like if I'm going to wrap things up, like just do things for the long term, as we keep repeating. Just shift your focus away from dieting. Not only is this going to mess with your metabolism long term, but it doesn't create like a healthier relationship with food either. And we've both been through eating disorders in the past, so we know where we're coming from.
Sorry, Joe, I wanted to intervene. When you say dieting, you said avoid dieting.
Don't follow a diet.
Don't follow that. Okay.
Don't follow the latest diet trend. Sorry.
Thanks. No, that was good.
Something that your friend's doing, because sometimes what your friend is doing is something that might not work for you. And again, they may lose that initial weight, but long term they'll probably put it back on because they won't be able to sustain that diet.
Absolutely.
Simple as. If your diet is overly restrictive, it's preventing you from eating certain foods within reason, obviously. You do need some restriction to control yourself, understandably. Preventing you from eating certain foods, it's stopping you from going out and socializing with your friends. It's the same food group over and over again. Then that's not going to work for you. I'm sorry, I don't care who you are.
Yeah,
I can stick to diet plans for a certain time, but eventually it's going to drive me crazy, and I'm going to end up binging on it.
Exactly.
Like instead, just like focus again more on health. Focus on foods that make you feel good. Like Martin mentioned earlier, you want to see how certain things make you feel, like intermittent fasting. Have a think to yourself, does this food make me feel great afterwards? Do I have high energy? Or is my stomach hurting? Do I feel tired? Do I have lethargy? That's probably not the food for you, even if it is a superfood, quote unquote. Again, take steps to reduce stress. Like you said earlier, Martin, going for a walk and your steps in per day, focusing on your nighttime routine, practice your sleeping habits, and so on.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. Awesome. Yeah, and I'll just say my point now as well. So I'm just trying to appeal this to the masses now. You're listening to this. I'm just going to say, right, I'm just going to assume most of you want to lose body fat, right? You want to look better, and you want to sustain this for a lifetime. You want to sustain health above all. So again, health can mean so many different things. For me now, health means something completely different to what it did a year ago. To me, health is balance, right? So that's the whole point of this podcast. It's more than just optimizing your body, as cheesy as that sounds, right? It's about, like, how are my relationships? Like, health can mean so many different things. Like, health, right? Am I managing my weight? Am I struggling to am I struggling to stay healthy in terms of, like, I'm piling the pounds on, I'm not eating the best foods, whatever. Am I struggling with that, or am I in control of that? My relationships, how are they? Are my relationships good? Am I spending enough time with my loved ones and whatnot? Am I happy with the people I've got around me and whatnot? Health is a balance of all these different things, folks. It's not just about, like, physical health. It's about your mind. But yeah, I like to get people to focus on the big rock. So all I would say to you is, you want to smash it in the new year, right? Focus on the 3 tips that I mentioned. Oh yeah, I wanted to say as well, I would, if I were you, I mentioned everything we talked about today, Andrew and I, in more detail, and there were some other tips on the 180 Nutrition podcast, so go check that out. Go and check out the Health Sessions podcast, because my interview on there, I mentioned loads of different things. But yeah, focus, my 3 tips on there were lift weights properly. Okay, so if you want to build your metabolism, healthy metabolism for the new year, focus on building muscle above all, so lifting weights properly. Sleep, as Andrew just said, focusing on sleep and managing stress. I think they go hand in hand. So the quality of sleep is important. So get off your phone an hour before bed and try and wind down. Maybe read a book before bed. Focus on your quality of sleep. And the third thing was nutrition, as we just went over. We spent the most part of this podcast actually talking about nutrition. So you guys obviously now know how important that is. So nutrition, maybe start tracking. Use that as a tool. Start tracking your calories. And or just focus on eating healthier. Just focus on maybe eliminating, as we've said time and time again, processed foods. Avoid shitty foods. Eat more vegetables. it really is quite simple to take those first steps. So they are my 3 tips I mentioned at the last on the 180 podcast. And I also wanted to promote our program that we just created for you. It's a decent program. It's not decent actually. It's a great program considering it's free. It's fantastic, and it's a split body part. I know most of the listeners know Andrew and I are more focused on training the full body when it comes to weight training. However, we've had lots of requests of people to create something which involves training one body part at a time, or 1 or 2 body parts at a time, split routine training, because that's how most people train. So again, we've appealed to the masses. We've created a great program, and it's totally free for you folks, right? So maybe you could just direct message me your email address. But Andrew and I, the best thing to do is just to follow us on social media if you're not already. Follow Andrew at Mr. Bond Fitness on Instagram, at Mr. Bond, as in James Bond Fitness, and follow me at Martin Silva Fitness, and you'll be getting that free program. It's already out there, actually, because if you listen to this, it's going to be like almost a new year. So, yeah, the free program's there for you. So, sorry, I went on a bit there. Andrew, is there anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, just to ask us if you're unaware of what a healthy food might be, or different food groups, or what type of training routine you should be doing, how to focus more on your sleep. Just ask me and Martin the question. Like I said to you earlier, we're there for you. We're passionate about what we do, and we want to help you out. So anything in the new year you're unsure of, just ping us a question, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're happy to help you as much as we can. That's the whole point of this podcast and our blogs and everything. However, also, we're going to be freeing up some slots for online coaching as well, folks, for the new year. So if you do need us to help you online, because we're jumping back into that space now, then we will be freeing up slots in January for one-to-one online coaching. So what we mean by that is we find ourselves mainly helping people, as we have with this podcast, with nutrition. So that's what most people struggle with. But we do include specialized training programs as part of the package. But yeah, we can start. We'll be starting that in January or in the new year at some point. So if you've got any inquiries about that, feel free to message us via social media. Yeah. So that's pretty much a wrap, mates. We've gone over the 45 minutes. It's all good though. Some gems in there for the listeners. But yeah, man, thanks a lot for chiming in, and hope you have a great time back in the UK, mate.
Thank you, mate. Have a good Christmas and New Year as well. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Thanks again, mate. Speak to you soon, man.